welcome to the Transformation Success Television Network. This is Dr. Barbara Young, your radio and TV talk show host for today, and I want to welcome you to the Total Woman Show. I am so excited today that I have my co-host with me, Dr. Cecile Licauco, otherwise known as Dr. L, who is an entrepreneur and a smile dentist.
Thank you.
Welcome, Cecile. Happy to have you
for
here.
having me.
You're a
Thank
beautiful
you.
lady, I'll tell you. Okay. Absolutely gorgeous. And another gorgeous woman that we have on the show today, Miss Diane Forster, who is an entrepreneur as well, but she also is the intentional living expert.
Yes, I am.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you,
I'm
Dr. Barbara.
really
So
happy to have you.
Thank you for
You
having
guys
me.
are wonderful. We got to show a little love today.
Yeah.
Because really today is a very, very interesting topic that we have for you today. So I want you to call your friends, tell them to tune in, and they have to watch this show because it's very important. We're talking about women in politics today. You know, around the globe, and I know many of you who are around the globe, this is going to be very interesting as we talk about women's roles in politics today. You know, there are so many barriers, and one of the things that I know, women's right to vote is almost 100 years old. But only since the 1970s have women really started regularly showing up on the ballot as political candidates. Today's women in the United States make up just 19% of all the members of Congress and 25% of state legislators. So it's important to get more women in office so that we can fairly represent the interests of this country's 157 million women. So today it is my pleasure to welcome and have the guest on our show, a consummate professional and politician for many, many years, Miss Jan Perry. Hi, Jan,
Hi,
and
Jan.
welcome.
How are you? Hey.
Welcome to the Total
Dr.
Woman
Young.
Show.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, Jan.
It's
How
good
are
to see
you?
all
Good to
of
see
you.
you.
I'm
too.
excited.
It's an
Well,
honor.
I'm excited to have you on the show. I've been trying to get you for quite a while.
I know.
And you know, your schedule is so busy, and I just want to first of all thank you for taking time from your busy schedule to be on the show today,
my
because I know
pleasure.
many of our listeners and viewers are really going to be happy. We're also going to do an audio of the
great,
show so
great.
that you can be on radio as well, because I want the listeners, all those women out there and men, to hear your story today.
Okay.
And I want to share a little bit about Miss Jan. She's a former 9th District LA City Council member from Los Angeles, and she was on that council from 2001 to 2013. She also was a mayoral candidate and ran against the current mayor today, Gil Garcetti.
No, Eric.
But Eric, why did I say Gil? Eric Garcetti, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
And also today, she is the general manager of the Los Angeles Economic and Workforce Development Department, which is quite a job with 175 employees.
Give or take a few,
Oh
yes.
my
That's
goodness.
right, yes.
But Jan, again, welcome to the show, because you have had an absolute wonderful political career. And I know there's more coming, but sort of tell us sort of your background, because I know you were raised in Cleveland, Ohio. I know that. This is my BFF folks out there. And I do know a little bit about her background, but tell us what it was like growing up in Cleveland and your background that maybe gave you an interest for politics.
Well, I think it was my family, basically. And, you know, I think back about my father, his brothers, my mother, and my father and his brothers were all World War II veterans, came back, you know, used the GI Bill to build homes, to get educations. We moved into an area on the east side of Cleveland where there were not a lot of African Americans, and they had to find an African American man who looked Caucasian to buy the land for them and sell it back to them.
Oh, wow.
And,
that was done a lot.
Yeah, I know.
I heard that was done quite a bit. A lot of people weren't aware of that.
Yeah, and when I was a younger person, we had a cross burned on our lawn, and you know, my father ran for mayor in the 60s and was elected with a coalition of people. I've got very great memories of going to NAACP meetings with them and fair housing meetings with both my parents. And just listening and taking it all in and hearing them debate and to talk about Dr. King and all of the political figures of the time. So my father ran and was elected mayor and served for quite a while, and then about 20 years after that, my mother ran for mayor, and then she was elected And so, you know, our dinner conversations were a little bit different.
Of course.
We would talk about things like, you know, trying to get money from the government to cover the sewers, update the sewer system,
Right.
whether or not sidewalks should go in on the main road through the town where I lived, those kinds of things. So, but the most important thing, I think, from my parents is, you know, you should be there for people in times of crisis, and you never go to someone's house empty-handed, and you're there to be you're the support, and that's what a community is. And so I carry that thought with me even now.
And certainly, Jan, throughout your career, that's what you have done. Now, I understand you came to California and liked it so well, you decided to stay.
Yes, much to my mother's consternation. I transferred out here and went to the University of Southern California, but the thing that blew my mind is we went to the Rose Bowl, and I saw Michael Jackson and Jermaine, and you know.
And you were hooked.
Yeah, because I always thought I was going to marry Jermaine. You know, so I thought this place is heaven. So yeah, I majored in journalism.
Okay.
So I stayed.
All right. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I know that you've done, actually a lot of work in the community. How did you even think about, you know, running for office and getting appointed to the city council? I mean, what motivated you?
Well, you know, even though my parents had been in elected office, I'd never originally envisioned myself doing that. But I had 3 ladies who were in my life. They were all community activists. And they were like surrogate mothers for me. And I don't think they knew each other. I'm pretty sure one came from one part of the district, and they each came from a different part of the district. And this thing called term limits kicked in. And so they said, well, there's going to be an open seat. You know, you've been taking care of us, as I'd been a chief of staff for the previous member, so why don't you run? So I ran, and I ran up against a bunch of guys, and of course nobody thought I could win. But I knew that I could outwork all of them, and I did. And I was very deeply committed to communicating with people, and I did a lot of what we would normally do in the Midwest, but you know, walk door to door, talk to people.
The Midwest work ethic is, yes.
Yeah, and also go to people at their houses, and knock on the door and ask them if they'll vote for you.
And connect with them, have that human connection.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And that's incredible in LA, especially.
Yes.
Well, I enjoyed it. I did run from a lot of dogs.
Thank goodness you were able to
Understandably.
Yeah. No, I enjoyed it because it really gives you a true experience of what people expect of you, and that you make a commitment to them. It's a mutual commitment. If you meet them, you feel a sense of obligation that's much deeper than just sending them a slate mailer or a piece of mail.
Yes.
But you remember them. I remember almost everybody I talked to.
Isn't that interesting?
And their stories, or you know.
Would you, when you knocked on the doors and they invited you in, I'm assuming, and would they share their stories or share their challenges with you openly?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's probably what made you such a strong advocate for the community, Jan, and why you won.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people were shocked that I did that too.
And you grew up with a mother and a father who were both in politics, so you really didn't have any fears or insecurities with, you know, whether you being a woman, a female, if you could do it or not, because you saw both parents in that role. So was that empowering for you, or?
To me, it was, you should treat people the way you expect to be treated.
Okay.
And that's the thing in politics that I think is missing to some extent. And people are not pieces on a chessboard.
Right.
Their lives can be impacted in a good way or a bad way, depending on what you choose to do in terms of moving resources in their community or through their community, making sure they get the help that they need. And that's where the personal connection and the passion for doing what's right on a very personal level comes in.
Yes. Okay.
You probably have, I'm sure you have a lot of challenges aside from being a woman. What is the biggest challenge you think that you've overcome that got you where you are now? You're a very successful person. And that's very rare to have that record for a long time.
I feel like I'm still overcoming.
Yes,
I don't think it ever stops.
Yeah.
I think the thing that was most interesting to me when I ran for mayor is to get people to actually see me.
Yes.
See me and
Yes.
hear me
Yes.
and connect what I said with who I am.
Right.
And I don't know if that was a woman thing, I don't know if that's a person of color thing, but that was a very difficult challenge to overcome, and I could almost trace it geographically depending on where I was to how people perceived me. It was that was a new experience. Yeah, and then even we live day to day, and we move
Right.
throughout a number of communities, and we don't even think about it.
Right.
Yes.
But when it comes to politics, and you're asking people to make a choice, and then they start analyzing what they think they see, and whether or not your narrative matches up with their value system,
right,
or what they
right.
perceive
That's
to
so
be
important.
reality. Yeah, and so that is something that I learned a great deal.
It's a question that even we're asking the business world, whether you're a coach, what makes you better than?
Right.
What makes you stand out? That's a question that's really coming up because, there's a plethora of people out there who are doing all kinds of things, even with the dentist.
Yeah.
What makes you special? What makes you stand out?
Yeah, or where your capacity matches your reality. And I have a lot of great accomplishments.
Yes,
but
you do.
The one who is perceiving whether my accomplishments are great or adequate and how they process that information, that is the challenge.
Yes.
That is a big challenge.
It's not what you say, it's what was heard.
That's correct.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So true.
Absolutely.
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 Well, I know you from a whole different vantage point. I don't know. From the time I met you, I could just sense you. And I always sensed that many people didn't see your heart. Though your track record demonstrates it clearly, that you've done work to help people in the community, the homeless, the things that you've shifted and done for people. But I never saw that connected with your passion, Jan. And I think you're coming. You saw that. And
Well,
I
I
think,
can explain it to you now.
Yeah.
You know what it is?
Yeah.
Well, for 12 years, I represented a district that included a lot of South Los Angeles and a lot of downtown, and a lot of people, and Skid Row, Little Tokyo. A lot of people, they think it's glamorous and gorgeous because it's downtown, and it wasn't. It was hard.
Yeah.
South Los Angeles had, particularly at that time, we're having a lot of criminal activity and people getting hurt or killed.
Right.
And that was extremely traumatic because I had to tend to the needs of the people who were being affected.
Right.
Plus help build new housing for people who are homeless, affordable housing. So I think my accomplishments, the ones I feel the greatest passion for, is in the southern part of the district because that's actually where they needed the most help.
Right.
And in Skid Row.
Right.
And I always felt that whenever I accomplished something, a high-profile project, that I had a football under my arm and I was running a football down the field and trying not to get sacked. So if you thought that I wasn't showing my heart, it's because I was running this project down the field
Right.
to make the goal to get it done so I could deliver it to people before somebody sacked me.
Right.
Because in
I
politics, and
That's
I don't need to
incredible.
explain that
Right.
That's
people
it,
try
right.
to sack each other all the time.
Right.
Perfect
And
metaphor.
I don't like it. I don't understand why. There's enough work for everybody, and if everybody just did the work that they needed to do in their own district, this would be an incredible region. But that's not the nature of politics. So you saw me running down the field.
I sure did.
Yeah. Now that I understand that better, and I can actually articulate it, Because I couldn't even articulate it, because I was like, wait, I'm trying to do something that's good here. Why are you trying to interfere?
Right,
Why are you trying to derail me?
Why are you not trying to get on and help? Get on board and help me run down this field.
Why are you hurting these people?
Yeah.
So in other words, you're a politician who doesn't act like a politician.
or the atypical politician.
She just wants to get things done, no matter what. Yes, the
Well,
stereotypical.
for me to go into elected office was a very liberating experience, because it enabled me to take everything that I have, my intellectual capacity, my ability to build, to grow, to develop, and to hear people, to listen to what they need, and to implement their dreams too. That's what it meant to me to be in elected office, and to be able to push that over the finish line, so we don't have to spend another 10 years going like, why are things like this? Why is it like this? Why can't it be better? It can be better. And then we can all work together collectively to push it forward.
I totally agree, in collaboration and cooperation.
Right.
So young girls and women growing up who are possibly interested in getting into this field, what do you have to say for them? What sort of advice or encouragement or wisdom would you like?
The wisdom is, okay, let me tell you the difference. I'm a general manager right now, and I was an elected official. The difference between the two is the work is very similar. I'm still serving the people, I'm still helping, I'm still a public servant. But ultimately, as a general manager, the decision as to whether or not something gets built is not my decision. It is the decision of the elected official.
Okay.
So that's one difference. And then two, I think I'm living proof of that. If you get knocked down, you can't be afraid to live your life.
Right.
If you want to be in politics, understand statistically, eventually, everybody loses something, okay? That's just the way life goes.
Right.
And you have to be comfortable with that. You have to be willing to take risks and, be your best self and put it out there and work harder than everyone else.
Right.
And it's really something that you say that, because that's one of the things I've been doing a lot of research on women and the things we do, and particularly women of color. And why do we have to feel like we got to work harder, work smarter than anybody else? We have to be better than the average bear. Where a lot of these some of the other average people succeed, and sometimes it seems like they're moving ahead and we're still lagging behind, because that whole thing, we got to work smarter, work harder, and be better and not bitter.
Oh yeah, I know, you can't be bitter.
To get ahead.
I know.
And so that's why I really wanted you to kind of share a little bit just who Jan is.
Yeah, that's who I am. I saw a commercial on TV not too long ago. What does it say? Through defeat there can be victory.
Absolutely.
Because if you take the time to learn and examine yourself first, in an objective way, and to be honest with yourself, don't be in denial, and then get back up. And I don't think you have a choice.
No.
If you want to, especially if you want to be in politics, you have to get back up.
Yes. Thick skin. We all get knocked down as entrepreneurs. We get knocked.
Absolutely.
We all take it, but you got to be able to observe and take in the lesson, and then move on, and know that's where the wisdom comes.
Yeah,
just
and the
like
other
you
thing
said.
I want to suggest to younger people, because I had a conversation with someone about women running against each other. Women have to learn to compete and not be, all dramatic about it.
Get their feelings hurt.
Because nobody ever says a word when men run against each other. They're like, okay, it's not a big deal. That's just the nature of the beast.
Yes.
And it's a beast.
Yeah.
And if you don't like the beast, then don't play with the beast.
That's such a good point, because we're always looking for the sisterhood.
Yeah.
Yes.
And there may not always be sisterhood.
Right.
I mean, a reality check, some of the...
Go ahead.
Yes.
Yeah, reality check, okay?
Yeah.
I'm going to leave it right there.
Say no more.
Yeah.
Is it still harder for a woman to be in politics than it is for men?
I think it's different.
Okay.
And I think, men kind of are more inclined to be supportive of each other.
Yes.
In politics, they can be extremely transactional. like, you know, hey man, I'll do this for you, and
You do this for me,
and then
yeah.
hey, we'll go golfing on Friday, you know,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. And you know, maybe women are not really in that club. You know, some can hang on as appendages to that, but I prefer to define myself and, you know, cut my own path. And you know, I like to see, I admire other women who cut their own paths and set their own direction, and you know, set their agenda, because I think long term they will prevail.
I think it's incredible with the things that you're doing. I think you're a leader, you know, and a lot of girls want to be more exposed. We were just talking about an article that says that there are very few female speakers out there, and I'd like to personally thank you for being out there
Being that
and doing
advocate,
yes.
that voice for us.
It's incredible,
Happy to
and
do
I respect you
Thank
tremendously
you.
for
Oh,
that.
thank you.
Thank you.
I
Serving
love
so
her. I
many.
just love her. I've always just loved her.
I
But, you
know,
know, I
you
want to.
said
I want to get
that.
back to a point that you made that really resonated with me, and I'm posing that as a rhetorical question about how men, their behavior, well, the quid pro quo, and the fact that, you know, we'll go out and play golf. We may, you know, is it related to the fact that many of them play sports, and we don't? In terms of, you know, they'll fight like heck on the field, but they're golf patting each other on the butt. You know, they're whereas we don't play sports, and so when we're in competitive situations, it's you know.
Yeah.
But guys, well, I'm just wondering if it's related to sports.
I don't know. I think women are socialized to be nurturing, and you know, when you go into politics, you know, women will think about it, and they'll, you know, ask their friends, and then try to build a support base and all that. And then some men will get up and go like, you know, I think I'm going to run for the United States Senate.
Yes.
You know, and then, you know, well, that seems like a good idea. You know, and then
I just read something about that. It was women, in order to, you know, apply for a job or try anything, they make sure that they're at least 90% prepared, where a man will walk into a job situation being 30% prepared, but the difference in confidence level is different. And I also think, to your point, is boys, men, males, grow up more with that gaming in their minds. So you know, they like to play.
They're already primed for it.
They're so poised and positioned for that. So I think that's part of the reason why they find that to be
well,
the
you
environment
know,
that
in
works
some
for them.
communities, some communities where, you know, there's this political structure where they go like, okay, you can run and you can't. You have to wait. You sit down. You.
I like that structure.
No, dear. No, that's over. It's over.
Well, you know, we talked about that
Yeah,
in Washington, and we talked about where there needs to be, given the current climate, there needs to be that coalition building.
It's not a coalition.
Well, PAC. They call it a PAC.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about groups of power clusters where people decide, well, I like, you know, Bob. So Bob's next.
Yeah, I understand.
No,
what
that's
you're saying.
different.
Yeah.
That's different.
No,
You're talking about building a pipeline or building a bench.
Right, building
I'm
a
not
pipeline.
talking about that.
Okay, And which leads me to the next question, Jan. What's the legacy you want to leave, and are you building a pipeline?
I talk to young women constantly and try to mentor them. As recently as 3 days ago, I was talking with a young lady from Houston who wants to work on homeless issues, and I gave her some suggestions, set her up with some appointments, and I said, you do the assignments and then come back to me and we'll take the next steps. So I find millennials fascinating anyway. I have a millennial daughter. So, you know, I have a self-interest in that.
Yes.
But my legacy, hopefully I'm continuing to build my legacy, and this is not the end of it, but just maybe midway. But just to preach the importance of keeping your commitments and making a commitment to a community that you keep.
Right.
Whether it's housing, whether it's a job, whether it's something as simple as, I told you I was going to fix your sidewalks, now they're fixed. Or I told you I was going to pick up all the trash, it's gone.
Well, that's being a woman of your word. Being a woman of
Keeping your word,
Mm-hmm.
so that people's faith can be restored.
Right. And they know there's honesty, there's integrity there. My challenge, though, as I speak to the audience, and we have many of you out there in global communities, is that sometimes I feel like as the United States, we're so far behind, and there are a lot of women in these foreign countries that are being elected into very prominent positions and holding elected office. I want to do personally a little more research and find out why, because the men are accepting of having a woman president or a woman who's in the general council. Whether they're, I mean, it appears they are because they vote for them. And so I'm intrigued by that, because when we look at out of the 50 states, we only have 20 governors, female governors. We got a lot of work to do, ladies. And so I want...
Well, there is the issue of money.
Yes.
And we can talk about that another time.
Right. In fact, I want to have you come back where we will talk about funding and resources for politicos and how do we achieve that? How do we as women support one another with finances, or how do we fundraise? Yeah, because really it's about friend raising and fundraising, you know. So yes, so but I really can't thank you enough, Jan, for just being here today and just sharing yourself. What is it you'd like to say? Because I think, you know, there's a future. Or you see some other things maybe happening for you in the future.
Yeah, no, this is I'm moving forward, and I'm going to continue to move forward. I'm excited about the future, and when I figure out that step,
I want to ride in your suitcase. I want to ride in your suitcase.
I'll join you.
I'm predicting, I am actually, and this is an intuit here, and I can see that there's more.
Yeah.
A lot more. And you know what's interesting? That this job here is just training. It's just a training ground. And so take everything you can and get everything you can and can everything you get because it's for your next journey.
Well, when and in the meantime, we've helped a lot of people, and it's been wonderful.
You have.
They've been very lucky.
Celebrate the victories.
Yes.
Yes,
no,
keep planning for the future.
It's
but
good. It feels good.
Yeah,
It's good.
celebrate
It's
the
good.
victory.
I still get
Congratulations.
excited every day.
There's a lot more.
It's wonderful. Yeah.
And we are going to be 100% behind you.
Thank
We
you.
are a group we're in a group called E-Women, and we are going to be 100% behind you. And thank you again.
Thank you for having me.
For coming.
I had a wonderful
Thank
time.
you.
Any last words you want to say to the audience out there, to the listeners, viewers?
Well, Dr. Young is just the most.
Not about me.
Oh, not about you? Okay. Well, this has been a great sisterhood experience.
Yeah.
And you know, I don't get to have these very often.
Yeah, I know.
So it means a lot to me.
Means
I've
a lot to
really
me.
enjoyed myself. I was so relaxed being here with you ladies
Thank
and
you.
just exchanging ideas. And you know, I
really
thank you
enjoyed
for
it.
that. It's been a real joy.
Well, you're a woman to watch.
Yes.
She
Oh,
is
yes.
a woman to watch.
Thank
And
you.
so,
Thank you.
Miss Jan Perry, Janperry.
Yes, thank you.
Baby Governor Jan.
No, thank
No.
you.
Well, I know that there's a higher authority that has something
Yes,
to
ma'am.
say
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
about that. Here we
Yes,
go.
yes, yes.
So until next week, we'll have another great show for you. Stay tuned and don't forget, watch the Total Woman Show. Looking forward to seeing you again. Bye-bye. I'll say goodbye.
Bye. See you later.
Thank you so much.